Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your pioneering, innovating hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other pioneering and innovating host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Uh, I
I
just
can't,
want to go ahead.
I can't believe I flubbed the podcast.
You sure did.
Anyway, we're keeping it in. We're keeping it in.
First first time ever.
Hmm.
Um, I just want to have a moment.
Okay.
We had our Andy knows this, but our bunny of 11 years passed away.
Hmm.
So just a moment to mention Sophie, the male bunny
Yeah.
that lived in my dining room uh for the last decade. So he passed away last
Uh,
week and had a very happy bunny life. But it's definitely been sad in our house and we miss him. But um if we could all get fed a banana that we demand in the morning,
yeah,
be
that's
able to
tribute.
nap, yeah, under the dining room table and uh, you know, bite people's toes and be happy.
I Beth messaged me about this, and I was just looking at the messages to make sure I got it right. And I did send both a heartfelt "I'm sorry to hear it, Beth," and then I said he was a real thought leader for modern pronoun
Yes,
usage, though, and
yes,
no one
yes.
can take that away from him.
No, he was like, he was definitely, and I was looking at for photos of him because the kids wanted to put up a memorial over the fireplace, and I didn't have any like printed pictures.
Hmm.
And the last picture I took of him was you feeding him his banana in the morning.
Really? No way.
Yeah. So,
Special
but
time for me.
yeah, his name was Sophie because I love the name Sophie.
Hmm.
And when I bought him, he was in this little, I bought him from a pet store, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I'd had a baby, I'd had a rabbit as a kid, and I was like, rabbits are the best pets ever. And he was in this little container that said girl bunny. And I was like, okay. So I took him at their word, and then I went to get him fixed. And they were like, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is Sophie's a boy. And I was like, okay. And they're like, the good news is this is going to cost a lot less because it's not like,
Yep.
it's an external surgery, not an internal surgery. And at that point, he was like 6 months old, and I wasn't going to, everyone was like, you got to
Perfect
change his
back.
name. And I was like, no, I don't. So yeah,
He's a modern dude, and
it's
that's
true.
we
Yeah.
stand
Yeah.
a modern dude in this podcast, and
That's right.
we're very sorry to see him go.
Yeah. So that's the crack. What about you?
So I have been slowly, painfully making my way through season two of Twin Peaks. Holy shit. Season one was wonderful, loved it. Season two is brutal. And like it's interesting because like I'm now starting to read a little bit more about it. Um and like how basically season two was mostly taken away from David Lynch.
I
Or
did
he didn't
not
have
know that.
he basically I think what happened was it was so wildly popular. The first season came out like end of television season, so like April, May of one year. The second season then turned up in September of that year, and it was instead of 8 episodes, 23 episodes long. So how you're going to keep that level of quality up, it was impossible. But it is hard going, I must say. Now there's still fun stuff in there, and I'm determined to make my way through it. But yikes. Compared to like how lovely how much I really loved season one. It's a tough old it's a tough old journey. Um but yeah, it's
Wasn't
I,
Laura Dern? Isn't Laura Dern is she in season
oh,
two?
and she's not. I am what episode maybe 17. Is it maybe Heather Graham you're thinking of? Heather Graham's has just appeared,
Maybe.
which has been cool. Also Billy Zane appeared
Yeah.
not so long
It's like
ago.
so many, like we were just like, oh, they're in this too. They're in this too.
I
I
like
love it.
Molly Shannon just appears briefly for one sequence as well. It's wild. But like it is a shame because I love the first season so much, and I still there's still enough of it that I like, and I kind of want to see where it goes. I want to watch Fire Walk with Me, so I'm determined to make it through. But it has been tough, 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 tough. Um,
Oh, that's what it was.
so
Yeah.
what?
Okay,
Uh-huh.
no, okay, sorry. In my mind garden, they did a revival of Twin Peaks in
Oh yeah,
2017,
they
and
did.
Laura Dern was part of that, and
Ah,
so I was
okay.
right. I wasn't wrong. I was just
She
looking at the
was,
nostalgia cash grab one.
yes, she was part of the Twin Peaks verse, the
Hmm.
the larger Twin Peaks. I will get to that show eventually, that season eventually as well, because I kind of want to see, I kind of want to see the complete thing.
Yeah,
Now it's
yeah.
not like anything else I've seen before, so it's definitely worth a look from that point of view. Um, since we last spoke, I had some dog sitting fun. No, it wasn't fun. It was not completely traumatizing, but I was like dog sitting for like 5 days. The dogs that I was sitting were fine, but I was also like doing walking a dog every day for those 5 days, and that was
That's a lot.
challenging. It was just at a busy time for me, and I was very happy whenever that those 5 days were over. So
So do you take the dogs that you're sitting walking
yeah,
with you as well? Okay.
which is like yeah, and like whenever I have so like Sasha's pretty easy to walk in that you can just leave her off lead and she's pretty good, but she does get distracted very easily, and sometimes she will like be struggling with two other dogs, walk down the road and look back and she's like 100 feet behind you like sniffing something, and you're like great, thank you.
Yes.
um
Or she's in the mud.
yes, or she's in the mud, more to the point. So yeah, so that I'm glad, like I say, I have one more before the end of the year, but it's one of my favorite guys in the world. So I'm happy to have him for an overnight. That's no big deal.
To cap it off.
To cap it off. Okay, another thing was we talked about it briefly. My choir's Christmas show is coming up very soon, so I've kind of been just working through that and getting everything kind of in place. Very much, as I said to Beth, excited for it, but I'm also excited for it to be over and to be on the other side of it. But yeah, I mean, like it's always good whenever you see these things kind of come together and like your hard work sort of, come into fruition, but also it is kind of nerve-wracking. Not to the same extent as it was last year, let's put it that way, but
Yeah.
still not nerve-wracking nonetheless. I will
It's
be,
always nice. Like I remember working at events and like if it was an annual event, it made me feel so much better than when it was like a one-off
yes,
because you've already done it once, the muscle memory's
yeah,
there, so you can really just deal with the stuff that's, you know, when the shit hits the fan,
yes,
that's
yes.
like that's what you want is for everything else to be like in place that you can deal with those things.
And I think that's kind of where I'm at now. And like I kind of know things and like, to improve it and things like that. So yeah,
Mhm.
we're in better shape, I think.
Good.
So yeah, so that's been the crack with me. Do you have any what's current for us this week?
I I don't. Can I back up to just ask if you
Sure,
guys have
sorry.
heard? No, no. Have you heard about the United or Health? Was it the United Healthcare?
Oh
It
yes,
doesn't
I
matter.
have.
The CEO that was,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Shotgun down in New York City.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Wild. Very interesting to see the relatively bipartisan response that has come of this, where people are going, health insurance is fucked and something needs to be done. And because like a lot of like pundits are going, this is terrible, this is happened to this guy. And it's like, well, or even, the I saw the police coming out and saying, we don't know what the motive is, and people are like going, are you crazy? There are
hmm
millions of people who have potential motive to kill this guy because
hmm
they were the they were the company in the US who denied the most highest percentage of claims by a considerable margin.
yes,
Yeah, that's, I mean, like, you know, uh, uh, I think the US healthcare system, well, my understanding is in terribly bad shape and is very like I think that like a lot of these companies sound like they are increasingly more predatory in terms of how they operate, and it's awful.
yeah. It's just it's you know, I obviously never condone murder
No.
ever, but it's just I'm watching the news and I'm watching the responses and I guess this the person, the CEO that was murdered, his ex-security guard was like, I can't believe he didn't have security with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, the fact that the head of an insurance company needs 24-hour security from the public
Yeah.
is very interesting kind of like statement on our society and healthcare in our
100%.
society today, and like
There,
privatized healthcare.
the statement I saw that I think made a ton of sense and I think spoke to a lot of people was somebody saying, I don't condone it, but I understand it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's kind of like, chilling. Like, and when they talk about like,
it is chilling.
in terms of the decisions that he's made and probably the lives that has, how many lives that has cost, probably in America, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. So like, if I am sorry. I am sad that somebody got shot. It's never good. I'm sad for their family in particular. But if
Yeah.
this actually starts a proper conversation about how these health insurance companies operate in America, then
It
it's
actually did.
yeah.
So, I can't remember the name of the company, but they had just, I think last week said that they were going to stop
Oh, I heard about this.
giving basically for it's kind of like when you take your car to the mechanic and they say like, oh, you need your brakes redone, your brake pads replaced. So they average out the amount of time that it's supposed to take, and that's what they charge you for in terms of like, time that the mechanic's gonna parts and the mechanic time, they average it out to be 4 hours. And whether or not the mechanic needs that much time, that's what they charge you for. So this company wanted to do that with anesthesia for surgery. And once your time limit for that procedure ran out, they were going to stop the anesthesia.
Which is monstrous.
Yeah. So that this guy was murdered in the streets of New York City. The next day, the company changed that
I heard
policy
that, and
and said that they will, in fact, cover it. So, and then they wiped all the CE. It's just fascinating to watch. They've wiped all the CEOs' photos and information from all their websites.
yeah,
Everyone's reaching out to all of these, private security firms
yeah.
for armed protection, and the person that uh, murdered the CEO has disappeared, and no one, normally you get like all these internet sleuths that are
Yeah.
like, I'm going to help you solve the crime. Like no one's helping.
No,
So
no, which is
interesting
yeah,
times,
it is. It
always.
is. There was a tweet many years ago, somebody referenced this, where it was basically like, if we just eat one billionaire, the rest of them will step in line. And it's kind of what's happened here. Like they're like,
Yeah,
oh shit, the stakes are real. So like I, I mean, certainly it's my opinion on healthcare that it should not be privatized because you cannot run healthcare as a for profit. You just can't. It's just
no,
not. That's just not how health works, in my opinion. So like, hopefully it will somebody being shot is never good, but if it pushes things in the right direction, then it's maybe a worthwhile sacrifice.
yeah. And having been through the healthcare system in a time when I needed good health care and knowing that I was worth more to them dead than alive. So it's a horrible place to be.
Yeah,
So,
really
yeah,
grim.
I know. So, anyways, that's
Yeah,
weird.
that is weird. Okay,
Um,
so
I don't have anything current other than I think I made a request a couple weeks ago to tell your friends about us.
uh
Please do that. Also, your enemies.
yeah, it's fine. Enemies, friends. I
Yeah, we'll
listen to
take it.
list.
We'll take
I
anybody.
listen to
Listen
listen.
to
Like,
listen.
yeah.
So,
Uh, okay. My what's occurring is okay. So it's the second week of this feature, right? So my
okay.
corrections and omissions section called "Uh-oh Spaghettios." Okay, so I've done some research. I need to clarify that I did not, in fact, invent the term "uh-oh spaghettios." So it's been used before, apparently. So,
Oh, Andy.
so I
Do you have to rename it or are you just going to
no,
go
I
for it and
refuse.
hope
I'm
we don't
just
get
keeping it.
sued? Okay.
I'm gonna have to hope I don't get sued. So, so yeah. So it's still called "uh-oh spaghettios." I just can't trademark it. So bit of bad news for Andy, and just wanted to inform the fans if you had heard it before somehow, then you weren't imagining things. It does pre-exist. So yeah, that's our corrections and omissions for this week in
Huh.
SpaghettiOs.
Well, yeah. So it dates all the way back to 1965, Andy.
What?
I'm sorry for you
It's
being alive in
probably
this world.
it's probably some sort of Back to the Future scenario that I will get involved with in the next few years of my life, I'm imagining, because
I think so.
I think that's the only thing that can explain it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so we move on to this week's topic. Okay. So we are, last week we talked about some nostalgia. We were looking back. This week we're looking forwards. And we are going to talk about the future, which I have titled, and we're we're talking about these on the pod at the minute, is called Stare into the Future. But that seems pretty insane to me right now. So I don't know if you've got a better one.
Mm,
Stare into the future. Open
mm,
your
that
mind, Quaid.
I know, I know. Open your mind. Open your mind. I like it. The
Okay.
future's good.
So yeah, so just thinking about the future and what we kind of want from it. I both kind of probably guess on a personal level and maybe for the world, perhaps.
Hmm.
But yeah, we just thought it'd be because I think it is something that can be scary. I certainly, especially this time of year, maybe have a negative opinion and that sort of, negative sort of mindset when it comes to that. I was clever in that I wrote my notes on this when I was feeling good-ish. So I have some happy ones. But yeah, it can be a tough one to navigate at times.
It's interesting because I think I normally don't. It's right. We're changing the calendar year, and so with that always comes, you know, all of the make your resolutions kind of stuff. And I think we
Hmm.
usually try and steer away from that, or at least I have been. But
Yeah.
this year I kind of want to do it.
Oh, make a resolution.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see if anything comes out of this
Okay.
productive as always conversation. But like, yeah, I kind of looked at like, okay, in a year, what do I want things to look like in five
Yeah.
years? Do I have a 5 year plan? Do I have a 10-year plan? 20, 30, 40? Like, when am I dying? And the,
Hmm.
like all of the existential questions that come from all of those things. And then I just kind of have other questions about like flying cars. So
Sure. Which is the really
I know.
important stuff that
Yeah,
they're
exactly. Exactly.
because like I think about it and it's like we had an episode about birthdays relatively recently and you asked me the question, do you want to live until you're 100? Do you want to live to see your 100th birthday? And the immediate thought that flashed through my mind that I did not say was, I don't want to make it on my 50th birthday, but pushed it down. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's actually give some thought to this question. Um, but yeah, because it's scary, it's the unknown, but like it is definitely worth considering. So do you have anything, when we first started talking about this topic, do you have anything that immediately sprang to mind?
I guess like it's kind of morbid. I
Hmm.
had two things. So one's morbid and yeah, and
I
I'll
love
start
it.
there, I guess. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
my favorite.
Like before I got long COVID, I was like, I could die today and it would be fine. Like I've had a good life, all
Yep.
good. And then I got long COVID and then I was like, oh shit, I'm dying. I need to like figure out if I want to fight it or not. And then I found out that I did want to fight it, and now death is like scary to me in a way that it
Yep.
wasn't before, and that's no
Interesting.
fun.
Yeah. I mean, but that's good and that's healthy, I think, as well. So like I
To
think
be scared
there's
of death,
yeah,
yeah. It's like a
I think it
human
is.
emotion. Um, and then the other thing I thought was that I think I'm a more negative person than a positive person.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Like thinking about these things, and thinking about like what do I want in my future and what things about myself do I want to work on? And I'm like, I have a really negative view of the world.
Yeah.
And I think If anything, I kind of want to change that about myself. And like, okay, so on the last episode, I talked about girls.
Uh-huh.
Um, and there's this episode where she goes to like surf camp
Hmm.
to write an article about like how, how white yoga teach white women who teach yoga are like invading surf culture.
Uh-huh. That makes sense.
Which is, yeah, totally does. Because we did that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
went
we
to
did it. We
Portugal.
did.
Um, Ours was a cooler experience and it
It's
wasn't like a
true.
retreat type thing, but her surf instructor was basically like, like these are easy things to think about, but like, isn't love so much easy? Like, isn't it so much easier to love than to hate? And I was like, oh, yeah, it should be. But yet, it's like I always go for the darker side of things. And I
Yeah.
even noticed that with our podcast, like you're the lighter side of things. And I feel like
Am
I'm
I?
like, yeah, yeah, I think you are. I don't know.
This is
Listeners,
wild.
tell us.
Yeah.
Is Andy the Force and I'm Darth Vader? I don't know. Sometimes, but I feel like that. I feel like that.
I
And even like my answers to my own questions about the future, I'm like negative.
yeah. I mean, like and I wonder whether it's also the kind of it speaks to the like outward sort of version of ourselves that we put out there
Hmm.
versus maybe what's going on underneath the surface. Perhaps it's that. And like I think that, I think that the closer the closer you are to those negative feelings, the more you see the importance of having the positive feelings and why I try to tell more people I love them these days and things like that because I see the necessity of putting that out into the world, both for me and for the people that I love,
Hmm.
um, because I think that like it is hard. I think it's hard out there for absolutely everybody, and it's good to know that like somebody loves you. There's like but like it just helps me with my sort of negative mindset. The mindset that was like that still is like
I don't want to
me
live
like
to see 50.
well yeah. I also was like 15 years ago was like you know what when this whole MCU thing sees itself through to a fitting conclusion, I'm good to go after that. And it did. I think Endgame was a good conclusion. I was like, I'm good to go whenever. I like I quasi serious, but also kind of like no, recognize how kind of ridiculous that is in another way.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think you know, speaking from personal experience, being closer to that void of like depression
Hmm.
and whatever makes me more keen to like poke fun at life existence, but also recognize that I want to do things from a place of love as much as I possibly can.
Hmm. Yeah. I I don't even have a amount of self-awareness around it yet, I don't think.
Hmm.
I think part of it is, raising tiny humans.
Yeah.
But Harper said because she made something for our next door neighbor who's a veteran, and her teacher's a veteran, and so they made these little like wreaths to give to a veteran, and she was like, I wanted to give it to Susan, so we made like a Christmas card, and you know, um, we delivered it yesterday to our very introverted neighbor who was like, thank you, sorry about the leaves, bye, not
Love it.
knowing that Harper had spent like all this time and effort, and she made this just for this woman, and blah blah blah, but like it was just like the kindest gesture,
Yeah.
and I was so impressed. I was just like, you're just the nicest person, and like you make the world a better place. And she's like, I get it from you, mama. And I'm like, I don't know if you do, because I'm just like, like my inner monologue is just like so, eh.
Yeah, but and it is that, isn't it? Like, and it's that how other people see you, and I think she's right about that. Like, because you care, and like you're compassionate, and also I see that you. are aware when people are hurting and you want to be able to do something about it. And I think that that is not super common, right? And
Mhm.
I think that's important. But so
Yeah.
I can see that too. But like
Yeah.
I totally get how your probably interview of that is completely different.
I think I've got a skewed view of myself.
Yeah.
I think we all
Yeah.
probably do.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, just in terms of, future thinking, like I would like to be nicer.
Yeah.
And I also think that I'm a product of um our civilization
Yes.
and what things are happening in the world. And
It- it-
I think Twitter probably makes everyone evil. That's
I
why we're not on it anymore,
yes,
people.
smart.
I took us off.
Yeah, that's smart. I think that like being a compassionate person in this world is tough.
Hmm.
I think we need those people.
Hmm.
I mean, there would be no point to life if we didn't have those people, I think. But like, it's a t because there is so much horrible shit out there in the world. I mean, we're literally just talking about like medical insurance not so long ago. So it's like, and how awful that is, and how like, I've been reading articles about it this week just because it's back in the topic, and they talk about like how so many of the people that work in that industry are fucking monsters because anybody who gives a shit about humans can't stay in it once they realize how it works, you know?
Yeah.
And so you just have all the worst people just trying to squeeze as much money out of other folks as they possibly can, you know? It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but like I and I think I've said this to you before, or a version of it. Like I as much like pain as I'm in mentally a lot of the time, I am happy. I much prefer being an aware, for the most part, and compassionate person than the alternative. I think that
Yeah.
would be so much worse, and I'm so happy
Yeah.
I'm not, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's why we're friends,
Yeah,
because like I think we're very similar people.
yeah, I think so.
Um, and I think that I see your compassion for the world. I see your humor about the dark parts. And I
Yes,
think like we reflect that at each
I
other.
think so.
And like we can riff on it pretty well
Yeah,
without taking each other like too seriously on
yeah,
any of the horrible fucked up shit that we say or
yes.
think.
Because like I think I told you before, nothing like makes me actually worried whenever I say something dark as a joke and people get really serious and like
Yeah.
really start paying attention and give me a really
Yeah.
serious stare and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to I need to pop this balloon every now and again or
You
else I'll
do.
lose my
It's
mind.
true. It's true. So I guess do you have like do you have a plan for the next year of like things you would like to
Um,
do,
so I want
process?
I really kind of want to learn. Oh God, okay. I mean, I want to learn an instrument or I want to get involved in music more. I don't
Mm.
know what that shape that's going to take. I have recently I've got my ukulele, I've got this other piece of musical equipment.
The pink ukulele, the
my
pink
pink
ukulele.
ukulele, it's still
Yeah.
sitting here.
Okay.
I am trying to declutter my life somewhat so I can actually make time to get involved in this. It's like I certainly, with the podcast and with the choir to an extent, I am definitely doing things that scratch that creative itch a
Hmm.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to, it's those are the things that I actually enjoy doing a lot of the time, week on week. So I want to see if I can make that more. I want to bring more of that into my life. So that's something I want to do over the next year. In terms of larger plans, I see one of two things happening, which is that either I meet somebody because I really need that. I think if I don't have that soon, I'm just gonna lose
You
my
can just
mind.
say you're ready,
Yes,
not
that's
that you
true.
need it.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, I think I do need it.
That's okay.
And
I think you can say both. But
yes,
I would say like getting to the point of being ready has been
God,
a
yeah,
a
oh,
a, a slog.
it has.
It
Yeah.
has been the hero's journey.
Very much so. And like, whether I fully am there or not, I don't fully know, but I am. it's inch by inch clawing my way towards it at least now. I or if that doesn't happen, depending on uh Sasha, my dog's health, I can see myself leaving this country for a while again.
Mhm.
I don't know what shape that's going to take, but I think if I don't have a relationship again, I think I just need to go on an adventure again and like kind of just like challenge myself in that way again. Those are the two things in the near future I think are going to happen. One of those two things.
Mhm. That's good. I like both of those for you.
Hmm.
And the I think either way you'll end up with someone.
Yeah, we'll see. I am like uh what's like I'm kind of aware how difficult it must be for people with me because like I am so tough. Like, once you get past my wall of bullshit, I've talked about this before, it's fine. And I like hold those people close and those people love me. But like getting past that wall is really tough. And like it's such a big component in meeting somebody you're gonna potentially date. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Just getting out of your own way.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
challenge of my
So
fucking entire
easy,
life.
right?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, what about your thoughts over the next
Mm,
foreseeable future?
I'd like to relax.
Yes, I would like that for you also.
Yeah, like just chill the fuck out.
Uh-huh.
I'd like podcasts definitely.
Yeah.
Is my happy place.
Hmm.
So more of this in whatever shape that takes. Yeah, I think working on just not having such a negative inner monologue and sometimes outer monologue.
Yeah.
Because I also am worried that like my children are gonna get bigger and realize that I'm actually like a really negative, awful person.
I don't think so.
I know. Um, but like, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, obviously, I want to keep the kids alive and happy. That's a goal always.
Yeah.
And like, we were doing, I had mentioned this on one of our conversations. We were talking about the Dust Bowl, and I was talking about it with Harper, my daughter, and like explaining the Great Depression and like what that was and how that impacted the Dust Bowl in our country's history. And it's like so much of parenting, it's weird. It's like spoon feeding them
Hmm.
little bits of bad news and then knowing eventually that they'll see the whole picture.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, that's happening to me too, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
seeing little bits and eventually so I'm like, what whole picture am I not seeing yet? And I would like to be like more conscious of that in a weird way. Like,
Yeah.
um, maybe, yeah, I hate the term world citizen, but I feel like I need to be more engaged and involved in what's happening in the world, even though
I,
it sucks.
I like I think it's such a delicate balance that though as well, right? Because like you also
Mhm.
have to think about how much
How much you're,
exposure your
yes.
brain can handle.
Exactly. I was just gonna say the exact same words.
Yeah.
So I think yeah. I think I'd like to be on technology less.
Smart.
I think I numb out a lot. I think I watch too much TV.
Hmm.
Um I don't read enough books. It's like all this shit. I don't do the yoga, I don't read the books, I watch the TV, I listen to the podcasts, like I want to like take myself back
Yep.
to before smartphones a little bit.
I hear
And
you.
we've talked about this, but actually like implement more of that into my daily life. So there's small goals or whatever resolutions, but I feel like they're small, but they're deep.
Yeah, I like them. They're good
So
ones.
mhm.
Like, I think yeah, smartphones are a fucking nightmare. And again, it's such a like and such a necessary part of modern life as well, which is like the grim reality of them.
Yeah.
Um, I
And
mean,
can
like,
I just bitch
uh
about them really quick?
sure.
Like, uh, I
Where am I?
I flew a couple weeks ago to New York City and back, and like just like getting my boarding pass on my phone and trying to like navigate that, and then it disappeared and I'm like, I don't know where it is, so I had to go to the counter and get a printed ticket anyway, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, they are forcing you, kind of like I mentioned that Amazon, their whole marketing gig is like, we want to be there when you're thinking about buying something
Yes.
so that you buy it.
Yeah.
And it's like they're forcing us to always to use our phones for everything. So
Yeah.
like this is what, it's even sitting here next to me, to the point where I can pick it up and show it to Andy
I hope the
over the
light's here.
video. But
If I'm
like,
relieved about it.
yeah, so like, but that pisses me to fuck off.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. I don't want to be on it. I want to be able to use my computer, and everything is dictating that I use this for everything. And I don't even keep passwords on here. So I'm always having to log into shit, and I don't remember my password, and I can reset the fucking thing and then do this goddamn authorization and then get the text and then check the email. And I can't.
I
Like,
yeah. Uh,
you
I,
have shitty safety systems is not my problem.
um
Let me go. Let me go.
like I have made some strides in recent years with smartphones, so where it's like I think I've talked about this before, where I don't sleep with it in the same room as me anymore.
Yes.
I've done that
Yes.
for 3 or 4 years. I really think everybody should do that, and just so like, and I also try to like not so like if I am wanting to go to sleep, all I have is my book, so I'll read my book, you know. Um, Easier said than done, of course, for
Shut up,
depending.
Andy.
I mean, like, I've got no real responsibilities. The only responsibility I have is the dog, and she can't use a phone yet.
Right.
So like, it's no big deal. And then she's not really there anyway, like fucking complaining at me. Oh, it's emergency, emergency. It's like, oh God, what's the emergency? And you go out and she's like, breakfast. I'm like, great. Oh, that was a fucking emergency? Was you wanted your fucking breakfast? Great. Anyway, enough of my home strife. So no, but like I totally get it. But like, it's interesting because like my friend the other day, I saw him and um I was talking about my phone and I'm like, I only check it a handful of times throughout the day. And he's like, I know, because he like likes to call people and he calls me all the time and I never answer because like my phone's always in do not disturb. And I don't sit and look at it for hours and hours at a time, because like it just fucking stresses me out. It's like even when I'm on it, it's so rare I would scroll through Instagram or Facebook or any of those things because they just depress the fucking shit out of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. I deleted him again the other day. I was just
Smart.
like, why just get off of them? Anything I can do on the computer.
Yes.
And then that's like with the podcast, like I do all that. I put it all on the different socials, and then I just like get off as fast as possible. And then I'll check once a week to see if anybody's, said anything or had any
Yeah.
comments. But like I really, um, yeah,
It's
that's
yeah.
that's my future, is less of this
I love
bullshit.
it. Um, I think the other one
Eh,
that I wrote down for me, and it's like something I've been circling my whole life, is that
huh.
I would like to write something. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if writing's the medium for me. I don't know whether it's like pursue more poetry or whether it's writing short stories. Or maybe like finally finishing. I mean, like I've written issues of comics, but I don't know that any of them are like in shape for me to actually realistically do anything with them. But just as an exercise, it was great to do. Um, so, so I, I want to do more with that. Like it's interesting because something that may indulge some of that in the next wee while is that I think I might have spoken about this before in the podcast. I've been asked to run a D&D campaign for some friends.
Yes.
I did. Okay, so I'm doing that in the new year and I'm
You
excited
told
for
me
that.
this.
Yes. I don't know if I mentioned it on pod, but I told you it certainly anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited for that because somebody recently was going, do you ever think about doing some more improv? And I'm like, D&D, especially running a DM, kind of is improv. I mean, you have characters in mind, but you're like reacting to what your players are doing. So
Hmm.
I quite like the challenge of that. I quite like having a kind of loose, idea of where things are going and then reacting to what people are saying. So I'm quite enjoy. I'm really looking forward to that as a creative exercise.
Hmm.
But and it
Yeah.
probably have to do some writing for that as well, which would be fun.
Yeah. I still um yeah, I still want to work in movies somehow.
Yeah.
That's that's like longer term goal. Um and I did so yeah, there's I've got my dad's screenplays.
Hmm.
I did send a few out. Did I tell you this to agents?
A while ago, or like I know you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
maybe like 2 months ago, and I did
Oh,
get
okay.
a couple of responses, and I did one of them was like, can you sign a form? Basically, you sign a form that gives them 3 months to read through your screenplay, and then but they can't steal your ideas.
I see.
So it's like a two pager. So that someone is looking maybe
Okay.
at one of them.
Very cool.
But and then you sent me what you sent me a version of Final Draft
Yep.
that you were able to have. So I think it honestly, I keep talking about this fucking show Girls. It's so it's so it's not necessarily well written. It's so accessible.
Yes.
And I think that's what's it inspired me a little bit because it was created, written by, and starred in, and I don't want to do all
Yes.
those things.
No,
I would
that's a
like to be in the
nightmare.
back. I'm yeah, like I'm a background person, definitely.
Yeah.
I know we're doing a podcast, but this is as far out of my comfort zone as I will go in
Yep.
that regard. But I'm wondering, I'm like, could I do something like
Well,
that?
I think, and I think I can think of other stuff that really makes, like, in terms of my experience with girls, is what I think is so interesting about girls is it feels like a really distinct voice,
Yeah,
right? In terms
yeah.
of like whenever, and I'd say other stuff has probably aped it to an extent since then, but
Hmm.
whenever it kind of came onto the scene, there wasn't
Hmm.
much else like that. And
Hmm.
I think there's something about the kind of authenticity of that. Somebody like I was listening to something recently and they were talking about that in regards like Diablo Cody's movies as well. And I
Hmm.
think, she was very kind of like had a very distinct voice as well, So I think, from that point of view, if you write something that is very much from, the core of who you are,
It's got to be authentic.
yeah. And
Or
I
it
think
can
you
be a
can do it.
reboot.
Yeah. Just reboot hold on, what is rebooted? Shit.
What's the alien line that you used in the last episode?
Oh, get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah, I could just do that kind of work.
You just call a project, get away from her, you bitch. Why not? Fucking who cares?
Do you want to write a screenplay with me?
Kind of, yeah.
Where we just steal from all the different things
God, I
that we
wonder,
like.
that is not a terrible idea. It's just like doing a screenplay that every single line is just lifted from another screenplay. I do quite like, there's something perversely appealing about that.
I like it. No one
Okay.
steal our idea or
Yeah, how
do
dare
it
you?
better.
Yeah.
Um, okay.
Hmm.
I have a hard question for you.
Okay.
Uh, and you may have like an inner answer and an outer answer.
Hmm.
If you could ask your future self one question, what would it be?
My future self?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I
That's a good
know.
one.
I was like, Andy's gonna have a hard time with this one. Or he's gonna
Uh,
say that's a good one.
I mean, initially it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, are you still alive? What the fuck? It's supposed to be over by now, you asshole. Why are you dragging this shit out? I guess probably it would be something along the lines of, you know, is always going to be this bad? Has it gotten better? I think would be a good a question that I would want to ask. Um, like I think about that in regards to like, talking to like past me as well, because like
Yeah.
although I struggle and have always, I have a better understanding of the shape of uh, it now. I have like tools that are useful sometimes, things like that. So like, the complete kind of mystery of um my mental health before was a lot more traumatic, I think, than
Yeah.
probably,
I think it was a lot scarier
big time.
and there's more
So
understanding and acceptance for it.
yeah, and like and I I've absolutely had things that have come into my life, both people and, like my yoga practice and stuff like that, that has made an enormous difference to me, and that has also like changed me in great ways. So like, you know, it's, I suppose just like, I would just kind of want to know if I had continued to evolve, I
That's a
think.
really excellent question.
Mm. What do
I
you think?
kind of thought you would say something like that. I just didn't know. Yeah, that's a really good answer. It's really shallow.
No, not at all.
It's like, do I ever get to work in the movies?
I love it. I love it.
I think I really want it.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean,
Yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about it a lot, so like,
yeah.
yeah,
I think I'm like maybe to the point of actually, yeah, like making little strides, but I think, I think I need an agent,
yes,
and then once I get that, then I need some kind of fire lit under my ass, and once
yes,
that happens, then I that's usually my jumping off point into workaholism.
yes. Like, yeah, absolutely. And I think that like the thing is like these things are like not like entirely out of reach. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not at all. Like it's just about like because certainly we've talked about it. You're more involved in like the creative side of things, so it's just like getting stuff done and putting it out there. But like
Yeah,
both of which are like scary and hard things to do. Don't get me wrong, but like they are achievable if you have drive for sure.
yeah. And I think that's what I'm lacking right now.
Yeah, which is it's the hardest thing to find. I think it really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. But once I have it, it's like there's no stopping me, which, uh, whether or not that's a good or bad thing. Haha.
Yes. Yes, exactly, exactly. It can go too far the other way. I know, I
All
know.
right.
Yeah.
Um, does I guess like how does the concept of the future does it affect your daily life?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think what is it they say? Depression is worrying about the past, anxiety is worrying about the future.
Hmm.
I think I worry about the past a lot more than I worry about the future, or I worry about the past and the present a lot more than I think about the future in any sort of meaningful way.
Hmm.
You know, I as part of the choir show that I'm going to be doing, I'm probably going to have to do some public speaking. And there was like I saw a thing recently. It was like there was a poll where the things people fear the most are number one, public speaking, and then number two, death. And it's like people would rather be dead
That have to public speak.
than speak publicly. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like there's a certain amount of freedom in terms of like me going whatever. I don't give a fuck about like I obviously do give a fuck and I worry a little bit, but I'm kind of like I have been in bad places. Nothing is going to be like accidentally misspeaking a word when I'm publicly speaking is not never going to be as bad as that, and it's there's something kind of freeing about that in a weird way.
Hmm.
So. No, I don't think it really does affect me in a major way. What about you?
I don't like I tend to think that I don't live in the present,
Hmm.
but I think I do more than I think I do more than I think I do.
Yeah,
Um, like I used to make 5 and 10 year plans, I used to be like way more type A than I am now.
yeah,
Now I'm type like F, but um I I really have no control over any of the things or
it's
any of
true.
the outcomes, and I recognize that more and more as hard as it is, and like have to keep being reminded of that thing. But yeah, I really, you know, even with I would say like maybe 8 years ago, things that were happening in the world would feel a lot more personal and
Yeah,
would affect my view of the future. But, I think a lot of the worst things in the world that could happen have happened at this point.
yeah,
Um, or, are being threatened to happen. And so I think even though that's like looming, I'm still not freaked out about
Yeah.
it. Um, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to be desensitized to it, but that's kind of where I'm at.
I think like, having a healthy amount of acceptance is good, right? I mean, because like there are various situations where it's just like, well, I did what I could, but what has happened, and I just have to accept that that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you
not
know,
get too wrapped up in it.
no, because I think you just end up causing yourself so much more pain by just like it just makes what is a bad situation so much worse if you're just dwelling on it, again, when
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do to make a difference, you know.
Yeah. 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 Um, so is there anything in the future that makes you worry?
Um, I I worry about losing people, because like
Yeah.
obviously that's an inevitable part of life. And I think
Yeah.
that I have been, for better for worse, extremely lucky in my life that I haven't really lost. I mean, I've lost grandparents and things like that, and they meant a lot to me. But like I've never lost anybody that I am extremely close with and I spent, big chunks of my life with. And I think it will really it'll it's gonna really like how like hard I feel things, so it's
Yeah.
gonna suck, like,
Yeah.
so it does stress me out a wee bit.
Yeah. That's on my list.
Yeah.
Like, especially like losing Mike or the kids. Like, I think
Yes.
I just kill myself. So,
Yeah.
yay!
Yay.
I also wrote down AI. That freaks me out.
Yeah. What about AI killing you, or
Ah,
I mean,
mm,
like I for
like in a
one,
Terminator kind of
yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that'd be okay, I
I'm
think.
like, I for one
It
welcome our
was
new
Skynet
AI
flying and like,
overlords. Just like, yeah, if
yeah,
Skynet flies in, I'm like, sweet. You can,
laser me.
yeah, laser me. You're almost certainly going to do a much better job than our current people in charge.
I know, right?
So why not? Let's go nuts, guys. Let's give you guys a whirl.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess the unknown,
yeah,
as a larger topic.
no, I hear
So
you. Yeah, it's so
yeah.
true. It is, and it's like, life fucking trundles on in a kind of like, there's very little you can do. But as much as I kind of, you know, feel a certain amount of helplessness in terms of like how much I can impact this thing, there's also a certain amount of like comfort in that, like
Hmm.
the idea that, your circle of influence is actually really tiny, and to really kind of like not, I mean, obviously easier to say than do this, but like not to worry too much about that is kind of like, I still kind of take some comfort in that, I still can
Hmm.
at times.
That you're not Taylor Swift.
Yeah, if only. $1.5 billion in ticket sales
Yeah.
over this past tour.
Yeah, right.
Wow, go Taylor.
Um, I know, go Taylor.
They taste, sorry.
Um,
I'm gonna say.
yeah. Are you a Swiftie?
Eh,
Eh.
she's no none of my other kind of faves. Beth, you know what's happening with me at the minute? It's talking
What?
about the future is I really want to go to a Charlie XCX concert, and all the fucking boring bastards in my life are like, "Oh, I'm too old for that." I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's only because you decided you're too old for that."
This is true.
And I'm like,
This is true.
I mean, like, I really don't think I want to go by myself because, like,
You'll be
yeah,
the older guy.
I don't want to be a 45-year-old amongst a sea of teenagers, particularly. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have, like, if it wasn't for the
Like,
creepy aspect of it, I wouldn't give a
yeah.
shit, but I don't want to be, like, having fun at Charlie XCX I would it would seep into my brain too much. It wouldn't be good.
I
So,
remember going to see Spice World at like the 11 o'clock show at night, and it was
uh-huh.
like me and my friend and like all these like 50-year-old men. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this
Okay.
is
That's
weird.
interesting.
Yeah. I think you should go to the show by yourself. It's not, you know what? You live your life, Andy Young.
Yeah. I probably will go because I'd really like to see her, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and like again, maybe I'll get like a VIP box so there probably will be some older people in there or something like that. No,
Yep.
I'm not gonna do that.
No,
I'm
right.
just gonna I'm just gonna stand in the back and nurse a pint as I listen to Charlie XCX. So yeah, it's fine.
Um,
Whatever.
so what will your role be in this once the inevitable zombie apocalypse happens?
Instant victim. I'm just gonna lie down, let the zombies eat me. I'm like, oh, thank God. Phew!
Woo!
This is a real
Ah,
relief. This is a
uh-huh.
real weight off my chest.
I can just be the undead.
Eat away, boys. Eat away. Yeah. What
I
about
think
you?
I'm gonna be driving a military vehicle.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
Okay, so would you drive a flying car?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I would. Yeah, hell yeah.
That's yeah.
I mean, like, I have I would like to go. I would lo love to like see space, but like, I also can't.
Really?
Yeah, because because of sci-fi and things like that, I would love to
Mhm.
actually like at least go into one of those planes that goes to the close to
Up
the edge of orbit,
the
yeah,
the
or the not
atmosphere.
atmosphere yet rather, and
Mhm.
but like.
So you can see like the curvature of the
Yes,
atmosphere.
I
Yeah.
would love to, but I am also kind of disgusted about the money that's spent in these things and how wasteful they are compared to the real problems here on Earth. So I don't think I ever will, but just the nerd in me would love to see that. Yeah.
Hmm. I would not. I would not want to go to space. I have no interest in going to space. Space freaks me out.
Yeah, I think that's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it like really freaks me out.
Yeah. It's
I'm just like,
fucking
like cold and dark and like I
yeah.
can't even. It freaks me out. I don't like space. Space is scary. Um,
What
I'm
as I
wondering
say.
like would I need to get my pilot's license in order to fly a
Sure.
car? What are the loopholes and like the, legality around that?
That's true. I mean, these are all things we're gonna have to deal with in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, and like they're saying that a lot of the pilots out here, because we live in the desert and like they do a lot of
Hmm.
trainings because we're right by the naval base. But that a lot of the testing that they're doing on these like super high fast jets and like breaking new barriers of speed and all that is like changing their brains and like mushing them. So I'm
Interesting.
like, that's a worry I have. I don't want to have CTE because I drive a flying car.
Yeah, I hear you. And like it
I'm
does
just
cons
thinking logically, Andy.
if it concerns me like putting humans in charge of flying cars generally. I saw a video
Yeah.
the other day and it was a lady in a golf cart. And she was driving on the wrong side of the golf cart. She had her phone in her hand and she drove into somebody's wall and she went through the front. She fell out. She picked herself up, phone still in hand. The golf cart, the golf buggy had rolled back down the driveway a little bit, got back in on the wrong side of the golf cart once again, phone in hand, put her foot down, drove into the wall one more time. And I was like, and I'm just thinking about that in terms of flying cars. I don't think
Uh-huh.
that's my major concern right there. Ah,
Drinking and
humanity,
flying. Yeah,
drinking and
it's
flying,
true.
and yeah, but yeah. All right,
Cell phones
Eddie.
and flying cars. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
it's
yeah,
good.
I got ridiculous there, but I
I
was like,
liked it.
also future things.
It's a fun future thing.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we wrap things up here?
Mm,
Okay,
no. I would say
nice.
yeah, you answered my question. My other question was, are there things you want to do that you never will, and you probably never will go to space? And
No,
maybe
probably not.
maybe someone's listening and they're gonna take you. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
I don't want like yeah. I mean like if it's Jeff Bezos, I don't know if I want to get a jet with you, bro. If you're going up some other time, but like let me know who's going. If like William Shatner's going, cool. But like I don't want to be
yeah.
like I don't want to.
Your outfits will be cool.
Yes, that's true. But I don't want to be like I don't want to be on one of those space planes with like either of the Paul brothers, for example. So
Mm,
yeah, show
mm.
me that guest list. I'll maybe consider it.
There are limits, I see.
There are limits. All right, folks.
Those are my thoughts, yes.
Love it.
So, do you have any final thoughts about the future?
No, I don't think so. I think we
Okay.
covered everything I have in my notes there. Yeah. So yeah, shall we move on to our favorite question? What's been bringing you joy over the past week?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So here's what has been bringing me joy. Now, this will be dated, obviously, because you probably won't hear this until like a lot closer to Christmas. But I got all of my motherfucking Christmas shopping done in
Oh,
November.
yay! Oh, I haven't done mine.
Fucking, I'm dunking a
Oh,
basketball. I smashed it. I did like basically. I think Black Friday is a good time for me because I there's lots of like curated lists under like here's a board game section, and even though
yeah.
I won't necessarily buy something off Amazon. I kind of have an idea of the sort of thing I might want to buy a friend. So I look on Etsy, I look on Amazon at an area, and something will spring out to me. And I just was like, I literally did it one afternoon, and I just blitzed it all, and I was fucking so happy. So yeah, getting your Christmas shopping done.
Yeah, I mean that's uh, I hate Christmas shopping and I need to do it.
Sorry,
And I
it's
know
weird.
it's like it's also like the time is getting closer. So
Yeah.
it's all fine. It's all fine. Okay, I'll stick with your theme.
Hmm.
I'll raise you a I decorated for Christmas,
Nice.
which this is a I haven't other than once during COVID, which I don't even remember because I was so sick.
Yeah.
I haven't done Christmas at home
Yeah.
in like 12 years.
For my trip.
I know, it's weird. So we did like the whole thing, set everything up. I put on Frank Sinatra Christmas carols.
Hmm.
We made hot chocolate for the kids.
Love it.
They loved it. I was snarky in my brain, but they loved it.
I definitely have special memories of it doing it with my mom and dad. So I can totally understand that. It feels. I
I think
suppose
it's
it's
like joy by proxy.
yes, absolutely. And it's like the same sort of thing I talked to you about whenever I was over visiting you guys, and like it was Charlie's birthday, and saw
Yes.
him like open presents, and I was like, this is the happiest I've been at like a birthday celebration in ages. Just the joy of like at
Yeah.
both the party and him opening presents was just awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good one. Okay. So in that case, can you let everybody know where they can find us, please, Beth?
Yes, you cannot find us on Twitter. I just got tired of it.
Hooray.
Yay, so we're
Fuck
off that.
Twitter.
I thought about Blue Sky, but like I don't know if I
In
want
the
to.
long run, we'll see how it goes. Like,
Yeah, I'm just yeah. So if you have thoughts on that, I'm curious, listeners. But you can find us always at bendypodcast.com and your local meta purchased outlets like Instagram and
yeah,
Facebook and
yeah.
LinkedIn and TikTok
Because they're
until that
too
gets banned by
well,
someone.
that's
So
true. That's true.
I'm trying to
Hooray.
keep up with the trends, y'all. I
Talk
am
about the
trying.
future.
So, but you can always find us at our website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
All right, folks. In that case, we'd like to remind you to
Stay
stay bendy.
That's like or
Noise.
your little space ride right there.
Yes, it
Up
is.
into space and down. All
You're
right.
welcome.
We love you guys.
Bye. We love
Bye,
you.
bye, bye.